Hey everyone, it's Chala from Crafting Through the Chaos of Life. Thank you so much for coming back for another video. Well, today has been an eventful day. Just, lots to do. Get up, make sure I get kind of dinner on the go. I thought I'd do that first thing this morning. I'm making some cabbage soup, which is one of my family's favorites. So I thought I would get that going and let it simmer kind of all day to get those flavors going, which will also give me time to squirrel myself away in my craft room for the rest of the day. And then they can just help themselves to the soup because it'll be essentially ready. So that was kind of my day. And then, change the sheets and laundry and all that stuff on the go. And so now I'm tired. But yeah, no, I made it down here. And again, sorry that yesterday's video got up late because, again, I had the video ready to go. After work, I was just super tired and I didn't even have the energy to get it uploaded. I was that tired. I don't know what's going on. I've been really good at breaking my routine. I'm getting exercise in, but yesterday after work, I just couldn't do it. Friday after work, I couldn't do it. I was just, I was begged. So yeah, needless to say, here I am today. And our Junk Journal January prompt for today is stitched. Now, normally I would think, yeah, that's pretty easy prompt, no problem. The problem though is I had way too many ideas and I didn't know what I wanted to do in the end and where to go. And I know I don't have the time to do all the ideas that I have. So I've written them down and I'm like, well, if you don't get them done for the prompt, that's fine. You can do those ideas for future videos, right? Right? I mean, that makes sense. So I've picked the one that I thought was kind of the most unique that I hadn't really seen before. And now I watched this idea. I'm going to, full disclosure, I watched this idea on a YouTube video. And because it was late at night, I did not write down who it was. And I cannot find it. So I apologize that I cannot give credit to the person who I originally saw do this. So I just want to, do that disclaimer. It is not my original idea, and I'm sorry that I don't know. I'm sure if you maybe try Googling it better with better search terms than I did, you'll find it. But, it is what it is at this point. But I just want you to know it is not my original idea. Okay, so for stitched, here is kind of what I thought. I'm not sure how this is going to go. This could turn terribly wrong. It might not even make it to air. I don't know, but we'll figure it out together. So what I want to do is I saw an idea of sewing with your sewing machine, so stitching. And I'm going to show you another couple of different quick ideas, probably not full projects, but quick ideas if you are not a sewer. If you don't have a sewing machine, if you are not a stitcher, don't worry, there is some other options for you. And I'll talk about them. I might not necessarily do them in this video, but I do plan to do them in a future video. Okay, hopefully with all that housekeeping aside, we're ready to go here. So I have an abundance of yarn and I love to crochet. I haven't done it for a while. But yeah, I have an abundance of yarn and I need to use it up. It can't just sit around here in my museum of goodness, of Museum of Craft Supplies. So how do I want to use this? Well, this is beautiful, this is Karen Cakes, Yarn Inspirations, or Latte Cake. And this one in particular is called Earl Grey. And I love the look of it. Like, it's just beautiful and it feels so super soft. And it's kind of got that little bit of eyelash trim feature kind of to it with these little kind of threads coming out. And texture wise, it's a girl's dream, right? We love this sort of thing. So let's go ahead and use this. Now, I need to get my sewing machine and I'm going to pull that over, and you guys probably won't be able to see this. I was trying to think of even if I rigged up my other, like my phone camera to do it. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'll see. I'll try. I'll do my best, right? That's all I can do is my best. So I'm just moving my microphone cord kind of out of the way, and I need to move my sewing machine over. Now let's see how I'm going to do this, because cords and cords and cords. Okay, so I do not have a fancy sewing machine. In fact, I bought this sewing machine off of my mother's helper that I had when I first had my kids, because I was still working full-time with my husband. And I ended up getting a mother's helper when I was pregnant with my second. And so she would kind of help watch the kids in the house and kind of help me while I was working, kind of tag teamed it. So she ended up moving. She's down in the States now, but she had this Singer sewing machine. Now I'm going to tip it over. Sorry, keep my little snips here. So this is just a super basic Singer sewing machine. Nothing fancy about it at all. It's got some great stitches. So here's number one for stitching. If you have a sewing machine that has all these different stitch functions on it, play with them. See what they do. Try it out on fabric, try it out on paper. You'll get some really great effects to add to your ephemera pieces just by playing with the stitches that come on your sewing machine. Okay, so if you are not a hand stitcher, grab your sewing machine. Again, this is not a fancy one. You can get them off of Kijiji, you can get them off of Marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace, your local, you know, everything for free, whatever. You can find sewing machines around, not a problem. And then I have used mine for sewing. I made a quilt with mine, with this one. I have made clothes, but now she strictly is kind of my junk journal sewing machine. And when I do want to do, you know, more fine fabric sewing things, I would likely head over to my mom's, where she has some amazing sewing machines. She has two Thoths that are amazing. One is like an embroidery quilting type machine, and then the other one is like one that we've had like forever. I actually sewed through my thumb with it. It's one that can like sew through leather, which is pretty cool too. So again, don't need a lot of supplies, or you know, a fancy sewing machine to do it, that's for sure. Okay, now what I saw on this video is the person actually sewed the yarn onto the page, or onto the edges of things, which I think is amazing. And I want to, I'm just going to grab out, I thought I had already pulled out, yes I do. Okay, so this is just a piece of folded paper. So this is paper again that I got at the thrift store like many moons ago, and I've just folded it in half for our usual like 6x9 journal type page. Okay, and I'm going to be opening it up and then sewing the yarn all the way around, but there's a little bit of prep work that we have to do to be able to do that. The first thing is we somehow have to guide our yarn through. Now I'm looking, I've got this color in here right now. Is it a big deal? Is it going to bother me? Meh, I think it'll be fine. And I'm just looking at my bobbin, because that's like the next thing, is to make sure, yeah, I think I've got enough. Making sure I have enough thread in my bobbin to show you what I want to show you. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that bobbin thread back up if I can. I'm watching now, I'm on camera and it's not going to work, right? Because that's par for the course, isn't it? Okay, why are you down there? You're not supposed to be down there. Sorry, I know you guys can't really see what I'm doing, but there we go. I'm trying to pull my bobbin thread back up because I took it out. Okay, super duper. Get that put back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need, like I said, something to kind of feed the yarn through to go underneath our presser foot. So I have, now I've got threads everywhere. Let's just kind of clean this up a bit before I get myself too entangled in it. I have this type of, it's like a yarn bobbin. So you stick your yarn on here, you jab it through the middle, and then it literally works like a bobbin. As you pull, it's going to spin. So let's take this packaging off. So as we pull it, it's going to spin on this bobbin, this yarn bobbin. Okay, so I'm going to be using the assistance of that in my small little space, because literally like right here is a shelf on my desk, so I don't have that much depth to work with here, so I'm going to have to get a little funky. I'm going to put my yarn to the side, but you just know that it's on this really cool yarn bobbin thing. Then what I also need is something to feed it through nicely, like we have in our actual sewing machine. So what I saw this lady do, is she had a straw, and she literally put the straw right onto her sewing machine front and fed the yarn through there. Brilliant. I think that is absolutely brilliant. Now, do you think I can find a straw for the life of me? No, not one that's not like plastic, right? Because we don't have, or that's not like a reusable straw, right? So, and I obviously don't want this big straw hanging off my sewing machine. So, improvising, I have the center little core of a dog poop bag roll. Yes, that's what I'm using. And it's so funny because I had gathered up over the holidays, cleaning up like 6 to 8 of these. And I was like, what? Why do we have all of these? Why do we have all of them? And what did I do? I threw them out. Realizing this morning that was a bad idea, because now I needed one. So I had to like ask my kids, I'm like, hey, any of you guys got some poop bags in your coat pockets that are close to being done? Sure enough, my daughter said she had 1 bag left on this roll, and I was like, hallelujah, there is a Jesus. And so yeah, I'm like, this is great. So now this is what we're going to use. I know you didn't need all that diatribe, but you know, whatever, it's conversation. Okay, so now I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put this. One of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to decide I want to do this permanently and I'm going to hot glue this bad boy on here, or logic says, well girl, wait a minute, you might not like this technique, and then it's going to be permanently on your sewing machine and you might hate life after that. So let's just use some good tape. The tape that actually, as I was cleaning up before doing this video, I just put away. So now I've got to go get it. Isn't that always the way? And I'll have to search through probably 15 drawers to remember where I put it. There we go. Okay. I've showed you guys this tape before. This is a tape. I know it's hard to see because I'm really close up now. It's by Art Minds, and I use it a lot for securing the spines, because it actually has some threads woven right into it. And I got this, it was literally in the clearance bin at Michael's years ago, and I didn't know what it was for, but I was like, I need to have that. I don't know why I need to have it, but I need to have it, and I'm glad I do because I use it all the time. So yeah, I don't know what this tape is called. I'll pull some out so that you can see it, so that if you ever run across it, you know that it's a good item. Can you see that? Let me try to... I hate that this does not... It's supposed to autofocus. Does it ever? No, not really. So sorry. So yeah, you can see it's got some woven bits in there, and it makes it a really strong tape. So I think this will actually work if I don't like fold it in on itself. There we go. And I'm just going to cut a little piece of this off, and I'm just going to tape that for now. Tape that little core, poop bag core, onto my machine. And then if I decide I like this, then I can go ahead and hot glue that bad boy on and not worry about it. Unless this decides to hold strong enough, then we're great. But in a temporary situation, this is what I'm going to go with. Now, where do I want to put this so that it makes sense on my machine? I could put it here, because this is more of an angled piece. I'm not sure it's going to sit securely there, but I don't necessarily want to cover the light. I don't know why I think I need, and it's too close to these buttons. So I'm going to go over here. I can cover up that Singer symbol, and it should be okay here. Yeah, I think we'll put it there. So that's what I'm going to do. And now let's go ahead and get that on there. And this is the tricky part, because I don't want the tape to interfere with the bobbin. So I'm going to have to trim that a bit. I know this is not really what you guys signed up to see, but I think it's an important process, because I mean, I can show you the technique and you'd be like, but how did you set everything up? So That's what I'm doing. I'm giving you the whole candid tour of this all. Okay, so I'm pressing it down with my finger and then kind of rolling it over a bit just so I get the tape kind of tucked down on the left-hand side. And I think that's good. It's not impeding on this here at all. I've got it placed nicely. It's not going to go anywhere. That's on there pretty good. I don't think I would need to hot glue it. I think this is going to hold beautifully. And then there you go. You can see I've got my tube right on there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to feed the yarn through that tube. Hopefully you can see that. Now ideally it should go through, but because it's got these fibers, I need to help it along. So I'm going to just pull out a needle. And I don't think I'm going to get this yarn through this fine needle head, but we'll try. We just need it to get through a little bit. Just enough so that the needle can weight it down to get through that hole. Good enough, okay? So see that there? It's just a little bit between there, but that's okay. That's all I need to get this down in there. And hopefully, I feel like it's magnetized. Something's magnetic in there. Okay, I can feel the pin. Just can't quite, there it is. There we go. Okay, so I've managed to pull that through. Put my pin away so I don't lose it, because this is the one I use to bind my journals. Okay, so now that we've got that down, the next thing that we need to do is when we go to sew, so I've got this shelf here that I'm going to try and lean my machine up against so you can see, which you can't 100% see. All right, let's just do it the weird way. Okay, sure, why not? Don't need to change camera angles, we got this. Okay, so when you go to sew, you're going to put this underneath your presser foot, okay, so that it comes right in the middle of your foot, and then you're going to put your foot down. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then what I'll do is, let's just take a picture, and I'll insert the picture into the video. Okay, so I'm taking a picture of how my yarn is in there. And like that. Okay, so hopefully you can see the picture right about here. And then what we're simply going to do, obviously I need to put my piece of paper under there, but I wanted you to see the yarn in there first. So I'm going to put my piece of paper underneath. I've got the tail coming out the back end here. And I'm going to line everything up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to attempt to set a camera up now. So I'm going to pause this one and try and set it up on my phone so that you can get a better view. Okay, I'm on my other camera view. Now the sound might sound different because I'm not using my microphone that I usually use with my other setup, but this should be okay. Hopefully you'll get to see what I mean here. So I have my paper placed underneath my presser foot and then the yarn right in the middle of the presser foot. I have set my stitching to a zigzag stitch because we want it to go over top of the yarn. And yeah, play around with your settings on, you know, a separate piece of paper, a piece of fabric beforehand, so you know kind of what stitch length you want, how big, how, you know, that sort of thing. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. I think the setting that I've chose is fairly okay. It should be, you know, good enough for the girls I know. And getting my foot pedal here in place while I apparently knock a whole bunch of things over because I've got stuff shoved underneath my desk. Okay, let's clean that up. Okay, we're good. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let's just go ahead, and I'm starting at the bottom right hand corner of the page of what would be our book page. And let's just give it a go and see how it works. So if you don't like the sound of sewing, you might want to mute this part. And so you can see I'm just literally, this yarn is right in between the middle of that presser foot there. I'm just guiding it through, and that little kind of feeder, yarn feeder that we made is working well. Okay, this is where it gets tricky when we have to turn a corner. I always like to make sure when I'm turning a corner that my stitch is going to be on the left hand side. That way when I turn it, the next time it stitches is over to the right, and it just creates a neater looking corner. Not the end of the world if you can't get it to do that, but it's just my preference. So I'm going to go one more stitch. Then I'm going to lift my presser foot, turn. Oh, it's looking pretty, you guys. Look at that. Ooh, I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is recombobulate everything. I'm kind of at an angle in my situation here, so okay. And then now looks like ooh, pardon me. It looks like I'm too close to the page fold. I should have stopped 2 stitches back, but that's okay. We're gonna just angle it a little bit in the beginning here and kind of get back on course. Hopefully. It's hard because my sewing machine isn't perpendicular to me. I had to turn it on an angle. So now I'm like, where am I going here? Okay. Oh, no, I might be too far over. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a junk journal, you guys. It doesn't have to be perfect, but look how far I am from the... I was so focused on keeping my eye here, I kind of forgot to look over here. Well, you know, do as I do, not as I say. Let's just get back on course. Right? We all make mistakes. I'm not going to hide the fact that I make. So now I'm going to stop on the right just so that my next stitch is on the left. Let's see how this goes. I mean, it is what it is, you guys. I'm about the ideas. The execution might not be what we want it to be, but I sure am about the ideas. Okay. And then, how do I want it to go? One more stitch. Okay. Oh, I mean, it looks pretty, except for the fact that it's wonky on one side. Yeah, so I mean, I don't necessarily even have to hold the yarn down here like I was doing. If I just let the tube up here do the work, yeah, that it's working fine that way. So I shouldn't have an issue, and I think that would help me keep my eye on the edge of my paper instead. Let's try that, see if it works. Oh yeah, that seems to be. Yeah, that works much better. Don't hold your yarn down. Okay, there's a pro tip for you. Don't hold your yarn down, because then you can't see the edge of your page. Luckily, we have I'm going to pull this tail to the right here. There we go. Luckily, we have another side of the page to go. Okay, so my thought here, which I didn't leave a long enough tail like I had wanted to, because I thought what I might want to do, this is going to be hard on this camera view, is now that you have these tails, move that back a bit. And move you this way a bit. Sorry, it's weird with this different camera confabulation here. Okay, so what I was thinking to do here, you can tie a bow to make it look pretty. Let's see if I have enough to make that idea work. Why am I struggling to tie bows lately? Would it be better if I did rabbit ears instead of around the world? I don't know. Okay, better. So just kind of pull that and make the bow. You guys can't even see, sorry. I mean, you know how to tie a bow. You know what a bow looks like. But there, so at the edge of the page, it looks pretty. And I mean, looks like I was a drunk driver there, but you know, for the most part, I think it looks really cool. We're going to do the other side, and then I'm going to switch back to the other camera so that you guys can get the full view of what it looks like. So in the meantime, let's just go ahead and start this process all over again. Where are my threads here? I don't want to lose. It looks like I almost lost my thread through the needle, and that would have been tragic because trying to rethread that with my vision would be difficult. So if you are, I know, like, you can take stitching in a whole different way. You can also do slow stitching, right? I'd like to think I have the patience for slow stitching. Right now I don't. At some point I may, but right now I don't have the patience to do slow stitching at all. Maybe as I get older, and I'm worried, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about my vision. Because I wear bifocal contact lenses, which don't really work the best all the time, and otherwise I wear my bifocal glasses, which I'm still kind of trying to get used to, and sometimes I just can't get the right tilt and vision going on. Those of you who have them know what I mean. Okay, so let's go ahead. So I've got a longer strip on this side, just to make sure I have enough. Maybe I'll put it closer to the edge here. There's a little groove on my presser foot right there that I'm going to kind of follow with the edge of the paper, and let's see how this goes. I like to stop with my needle in the paper so that it's easier when I turn. Oh, this is a whole heck of a lot easier, you guys. Don't hold your yarn down like I did. Holy cow, I can't believe how much simpler this is. Put the foot down, and it's just feeding right in there. It's working beautifully. I'm just going to kind of, might be a little hard for the machine to pull this other heavy yarn, so on that spool. All right, here we go again. A lot easier to see where I'm going without that having to hold the yarn in place. Turn, press your foot down. I went a little further, but you know, we can get back on track. That's not a problem. Oh, I think I went too far again. Yeah, that's okay. Everything's fixable. Doesn't have to be perfect. Get my paper situated here. I'm not back stitching or anything. I mean, you can. I think it'll be fine because I've tied the bow and I've got the, I'll show you here. Let me just go ahead and pull this up. Because it's pulling out the thread along with the yarn, when I tie that bow, it's tying those threads into the bow itself, which is another cool kind of texture thing. So the ends of that would be tied off as well, and it shouldn't come undone. Okay, I'm going to switch back to the other big camera so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, here we are on the big camera. Whoop. Let's make sure that you guys can hear me. Bring my microphone, clip it on me here. Okay, so I really like how this turned out, although I started and stopped in the wrong spot on this end, but you know, this is just my practice piece. This is, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, perfectly imperfect. Again, this was a trial. I'd never done this before. Oh my God, this feels amazing, you guys. Okay, let's tie our little bow. You can use ribbon too, I imagine. I don't see why not. It might be, you know, you just kind of have to make sure it's nice and flat when you first feed it, because it's going to go through that tube. You know, feed it nice and flat, making sure it's flat when you go through to stitch it, so it doesn't, you know, do something weird on you. But for the most part, I absolutely love this. I love the feeling of the yarn on the edge. Let's take a look at the back. I mean, the back is just cool stitching, right? That's awesome. That's what we want. Except for that little piece where we won't talk about this. We don't talk about that piece. I'll just put something, a pocket, I'll just cover that with something, maybe a nice big pocket. No one will be the wiser, right? So anyways, yeah, I think this was a lot of fun, you guys. I definitely would recommend, if you have a sewing machine and some yarn laying around, give this idea a try. Again, not my idea. Sorry, I can't remember who it originally was, but loving this. I'm loving this. Maybe you guys have already seen this before. I don't know, but look at that. Like, how cool is that? That looks so cool. I would love that for the front of a journal cover. On a journal cover, that would be awesome, you guys, right? Just that beautiful kind of texture, the little bow. It feels amazing. Okay, so big fan of this idea. Love it. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can still do this technique. I would probably run a bead of glue along, lay my yarn along it, and then hand stitch it, right? You can still do it that way as well. You would just have to glue down probably the yarn first. I don't know how well it would work to kind of fiddly around with the loose bit of yarn on there while you're trying to stitch. I try to make things easy for myself because it just needs to be that way. But I love this. I am so in love with this. Yay! Okay, so let's talk about what if you don't have a sewing machine? You hand stitch, right? So some things that you can do for hand stitching wise is, if you are a slow stitcher, God bless you and your patience. It's a goal. I'm going to put it out there that it's a goal for me to be that dedicated and just to sit still long enough to do it. My mind is just always racing. I always, with my anxiety, I'm just kind of blah, blah, blah all the time, right? So that might be something to help slow me down. Right now, I just know how my medication level is. I'm just not able to do that. So here is an idea of faux slow stitching to a degree. This is just a really simple version. So I've got a ton of these fabric samples, which I still need to kind of get packaged up and listed on my Ko-fi site because I have too many for me to use. Otherwise, Mom, I really need you to come over and help me work on those, get them either packaged up, take the ones you want for your quilting. We gotta figure it out. So anyways, I just kind of cut with my pinking shears some different, upholstery fabrics. And then I either, got stuff going on here. I either will glue the pieces down a little bit with fabric tack, or I cheat to the hilt to the cheat, let me tell you. So heat bond, or this stuff, my mom gave me this stuff, which is really cool because it is, thinner and lots of it. But this basically works the same as heat bond. So I would just kind of put heat bond on the back of these and then just iron them on. And then from there, you can do as much or as little stitching as you want. It won't matter because your pieces aren't going to come undone, right? Because you've heat bonded it together. And then you just do those simple stitching of buttons on and of, little decorative stitches. You don't have to worry about these stitches actually holding the piece together. It's just strictly decorative because you've used fabric tack or heat bond on it. So another stitching idea for the non-stitcher in your life. Again, if you want to do the whole slow stitching thing, God bless you. I'm just not there yet, to be honest. So I have a ton of pieces that obviously I have pre-cut out and I need to work with. So it's literally just doing a bit of fabric collage with some lace and your fabrics, okay? So that is that one, which I need to do again because those are always fun to have, especially for journal toppers. Okay, so we did our prompt the other day for tuck spot, right? Yeah, tuck spot. That was day 4. Again, you can use your sewing machine and sew around your little pieces to add that stitched effect to whatever ephemera piece you were making, whatever pocket, whatever it is. If that's not your thing, whether it be sewing machine, whether it be hand stitching, fake it till you make it, people. There's nothing wrong with faux stitching. This, I just used a black gel pen and I went around to create some faux stitching. You could do little X's like cross stitch, you know, whatever you like, but you don't necessarily have to have a sewing machine or be, you know, a seamstress of any sort to get that stitched look. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Add, you know, if you're like, oh, it needs something, I'm not sure, throw a stitch line around it and see if that really brings it out. Okay, the other thing that I want to use, and I don't want to show you too much because I'm actually going to be using it for an upcoming prompt, but stamps. There are many stamps. As you can see, this is going to be my idea for day 18 borders. But you know, there are, this one's in particular is by Fiskars. There's 16 stamps, and look at all the different kind of like little stitching bits. This actually looks like a sewing machine. This has got a loop. So do faux stitching with stamps around your projects. So it's got some short ones and long ones there. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with using, you know, stamps that look like stitching. I think that's a lot of fun for your project as well. Again, I'm not going to show this because I do want to do some projects with it for borders. So yeah, those were kind of some of our ideas that we have. Where is my beautiful page I just created? Okay, how do I lose it already? I literally just sewed this page. I just sewed on it. It literally, oh, there it is under, I was like, grew legs and walked away on me. How is that? Okay, so here we have our sewing machine yarn stitching. That's a fun stitching idea. We have our faux stitching with just, you know, a pen, gel pen, whatever. And then we have this again, kind of like a faux slow stitching, just more decorative to kind of add a little bit of stitching effect to your project. So with all that said, I think that is really going to complete today's video. Again, like I said, I had 100 ideas. You can go a million different ways with this prompt, but this is just kind of some simple things I wanted to get you started with, especially if you were not a stitcher or a seamstress or enjoy sewing that much. I just thought this would kind of give you the kind of little gamut of it. So I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. For all of my new friends, my existing subscribers, you guys are amazing. I just appreciate you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to do our next prompt word, which is neutral. So we will see you on the next video. And P.S. I love you.